Okay. Good morning, everybody. It's 10 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. First off, we'd like to thank you all for joining. This is going to be the first of many webinar series that we'll be doing over in the future. On the capital compliance expert side, we have myself, Kyle Oden, who will be acting as moderator today. We have Jerry Dobby, who will be conducting the body of the content. We have Mitchell Sousa, who will be handling some of the Q&A, as well as concluding our call.
Hi, everyone. How's it going?
We really wanted to start these webinars as a free educational resource for our customers and MSBs out in the industry. We realize how much education is needed from an MSB standpoint. And as we can assist and consult the industry, we thought, what better way than to gather a group of industry experts on a call and share with you some of our expertise and assist the way that we can. Today we're going to try to keep the call to about 45 minutes. We know that everyone has a very hectic schedule, so we'll do our best to keep it in a time frame, leaving maybe 10 to 15 minutes towards the end to conduct any questions and answers that you may questions you'd like to have answered. Regarding questions, everybody is muted on the call today. If you have any questions, go ahead and type into the chat box in the bottom right hand corner of your screen. And please make sure to send questions to the host only to avoid any confusion. But towards the end of the call, we'll go ahead and read through those questions, answer as many as we can in the allotted time. And any that we don't get to or don't have enough time, we'll be more than happy to follow up individually to each one of you. Hand this over to Jerry. A little bit of background. We're very glad to have him as a part of our team. Jerry brings over 15 years of experience working with Wells Fargo, of which he's been a compliance consultant for MSBs. So he brings a lot of knowledge and expertise to our team. He's got a lot of great insight, a lot of great things to share with you guys. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and hand it over to Jerry.
Hello, good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our very first webinar. We are making a bit of history here today, so we do appreciate you taking the time to join us. Throughout this webinar, I will be sharing some experiences and some webinar compliance basics. So before I proceed, I'd like to share something that we say here at Capital Compliance Experts. And one of our favorite quotes here is, "Compliance fights defiance." And by the end of this webinar, I would like all of you to repeat that in your head, just put in there, compliance fights defiance. We all know what compliance means or have a general idea of what it means, but defiance is defined as open resistance, disobedience, and for the fun description is compliance. So compliance fights defiance, and that's what we are all here to do. Now, to get this webinar started, I'll go ahead and start with a brief history of the BSA and FinCEN history. So the BSA, also known as the Bank Secrecy Act, was established in 1970 and has become one of the most important tools in the fight against money laundering. Originally, during that era, the BSA was created to fight and capture tax evaders and money launderers. Over the years, the act of money laundering has evolved into other realms of black market businesses such as drug dealing, human trafficking, and terrorist funding. So as the times evolve, so do the criminals, but so do we. Crimes Enforcement Network, also known as FinCEN, acts as the designated administrator of the Bank Secrecy Act. For all those who don't know, or if you're not registered with FinCEN, please be sure to be registered with FinCEN, www.fincen.gov. It is a free registration, and it is very important if you are a money service business to be registered. history of the AML requirements we have here is back in October of 2001, the USA Patriot Act was signed into law. All of us always hear about the USA Patriot Act, but it actually means it does stand for something. It means the uniting and strengthening America by providing appropriate tools required to intercept and obstruct terrorism. During the aftermath of the anthrax scares and terrorist attacks on 9/11 that both happened in 2001, the government signed the Patriot Act into law to help fight terrorism. Take a brief moment here and think about what this law means, the USA Patriot Act. It's a very important law that pertains to the type of business we are in and support. Not only is the Patriot Act a law, it is a voluntary duty to keep an eye out for each other. Our job is to know and to understand the illegal activity that may be witnessed, and of course, the government is all holding us accountable. In April 2002, the first federal regulations were adopted, and the main purpose of these AML requirements is to combat and prevent money laundering. Money laundering? Well, money laundering is having financial transactions conducted with the intent to hide the true source of the funds. And most of these funds are earned from an illegal enterprise with the intent of making the source of the funds seem legitimate. So basically, in essence, they're turning dirty money obtained from illegal activity like drug dealing, terrorist funding, into clean money. There are 3 stages of money laundering. The first stage is placement. Placement is the way to deposit illegal money into financial system. It could be, for example, money obtained from drug dealing and deposited into a financial institution. The next stage is layering. They have the origin of the funds by moving them through a series of financial transactions. An example of that would be once they deposit the money, they turn to a money order, or they use wire transfers to send it somewhere, and then send it back. And that would open the doors for the last stage of money laundering, which is integration, which is creating a legal origin for criminal proceeds. And when criminals do it, and I'm sure all of you have seen criminals try and attempt to do this, but criminals launder money to attempt to put the earnings of a criminal enterprise into a legitimate banking financial institution. And the majority of these criminals prefer non-bank financial institutions, also known as NBFIs, to activity. And FIs, raise your hand if you are one of these types of businesses. Even though I can see you, I do appreciate you raising your hand, so thank you. And an example of an NBFI is a broker or dealer in securities, real estate closing services, insurance companies, financial service intermediaries, finance, loan companies, brokers, vehicle dealers, travel agents, jewelers, casinos, and, drumroll Mitchell, money service business, also known as you. Businesses are types of financial institutions. They are money transmitters, like many of us are, currency dealers or exchangers, issuers or redeemers of checks, and use postal services. So the thing is, with a lot of criminals, for some reason, they feel that NBFIs or MSBs are easier to launder money through. And, after this webinar and, from our experiences, I hope to know that, they're wrong, because a lot of us MSBs are prepared to fight money laundering, because the thing that all MSBs are required to have is to have an effective anti-money laundering program. And for anti-money laundering programs, with my personal experience as a compliance consultant with a big bank, 4 effective components of an anti-money laundering program. Please note that when any of these 4 components are not up to par, compliance consultants at banks or government agencies, they will see it right away. They will find the MSB almost immediately. And components are as follows: policies, procedures, and controls designed to assure compliance with the Bank Secrecy Act. A compliance officer to oversee and implement the AML program's day-to-day procedures and operations. an ongoing training program to ensure that all employees handling MSB transactions are fully trained and understand the internal policies, procedures, and controls. Finally, ensuring that the AML program receives an independent review audit at least once every 12 months. Now to the very first component of an anti-money laundering program, internal policies, procedures, and controls designed to assure compliance with the Bank Secrecy Act. This very, very important component of the anti-money laundering program, but what many, from my experience, but what many MSBs don't realize is that this component should be catered and customized to your money service business. As you all know, money service businesses come in all shapes and sizes. Some cash a few checks a day, some will cash millions of dollars worth of checks in an hour. So in order to have an effective first component of the anti-money laundering program, we make sure that your internal policies, procedures, and controls are catered and customized to the type of activity any service business does. And component of a compliance officer to oversee and implement the AML program's day-to-day procedures and operations. Now, the compliance officer is a very important person for a service business, and in regards to the same component. The officer is someone who's basically in charge of upholding the policies and procedures and making sure they are followed. And another important aspect of the compliance officer is they ensure that all the state filings and government filings are done correctly and in a timely manner. The compliance officer is usually also the automatic point of contact for financial institutions, government inquiries, and local law enforcement. So anytime the federal government would like to audit your business, or if your financial institution would like to audit your business, they go to the compliance officer first, because the compliance officer is listed as that day-to-day person. And component of an anti-money laundering program is effective ongoing training program to ensure that all employees handling MSB transactions are properly trained and understand the internal policies, procedures, and control. Like, like the old saying goes, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. This applies to how well are the employees trained in handling MSB transactions. Remember, everyone, it only takes one bad transaction that can set off a government, law enforcement, or bank inquiry regarding your business. It's important to have a customized training program for your employees to ensure they understand all the policies and procedures and keep the MSB in compliance with federal and state regulations. Ongoing training is very important as well, because as regulations change, as laws change, as rules change, you need to ensure that training changes as well and make sure that those employees are very strong and knowledgeable of the policies and procedures of the business. And the final component of an effective anti-money laundering program is ensuring that the AML program receives an independent review audit at least once every 12 months. Now, independent review, personally, I feel they're equally as important as the AML program itself. Because of an independent review will let you know your deficiencies. An independent review will make suggestions on how to fix those deficiencies. And an independent review could be the difference between passing and failing an audit. It's you to have a reviewer that will carefully examine the program, the business, and confront with all the deficiencies. With my personal experience as a compliance consultant from a big bank, many businesses fail because of the independent review. Some independent reviews are not concise enough, descriptive enough, or it's just a summary that is not acceptable. So having an independent review or a third-party independent review completed where they really get to know your business, know your operations, and know the habits, size, and scope of the MSB, it's the difference between passing or failing that audit. And that's the thing as well. Banks do know what they're looking for, so if they see a nice independent review, usually you're on the right track. So thanks for joining us. As I said, I appreciate you guys taking the time to join us for our very first webinar of Compliance Basics. Now, if any of you have questions, let me introduce Mitchell, who's been itching to talk this whole time.
Hi, how is everyone? Right now would be a great time to type in any questions you might have, and make sure to send it, as Kyle mentioned, directly to the presenter. And we're actually, it looks like we already have a couple that have come in, so I'm going to take just a brief moment really quick and review those questions. We've actually received a few questions. First one here is actually very relevant. It says, can I do the independent review myself?
Okay, that's a great question, and it is very relevant to the situation. To answer that question, you can. Definitely, you can do the review yourself. But remember, the one thing in common that many banks and federal law enforcement agencies have is they do have a deadline. So if doing a review by yourself is something that you feel you can do, and more power to you, you can do that. But if the issue with doing it yourself is if something pops up or if something wasn't covered, it will get sent back to you. And most of the time, from personal experience, we've had a lot of people conducting, the compliance officer is also conducting the review. Under federal guidelines, the compliance officer cannot do the review. From my personal experience, this is a common thing that a lot of our business owners do, is the compliance officer conducts the independent review. So it is a good idea to make sure, as my last slide stated, that the independent review is conducted by someone who will actually know your business, know all the transactions, and the most important part of that review is finding and suggesting ways to fix any deficiencies. Because usually when someone does their own review, it's hard to find those deficiencies. We just have that in red, against us. We don't do anything wrong. We're perfect. Everything is looking great. But it is always good to have a third party or a second set of eyes look at everything just to be safe. And question, great question.
I'll look here at another question that's come in. Give me just a moment. Great. We actually have another very good question here. It says, what is the best way to train my employees, and are there any available tools out there that you guys know of?
Another great question. Well, there are plenty of tools out there. The best answer to that question, it really depends on your business. It really depends on how often you do your training and how often you want to do your training. In terms of if laws change or if any types of transactions or activities changes. For example, if you're a check casher and now you're conducting money transmission, you'd like to train, the people handling MSB transactions as soon as possible to handle that new activity. Another suggestion for ongoing training is accessing third-party trainings that have ongoing trainings that you can, that keep your employees on their toes. And I know that there's a lot of systems out there where you can log in, go to the ongoing training, and get certified for the training for your store. So there are many options for ongoing training out there. It's all about finding the right one that fits your business and how often your business needs that training, and also applies to the size and scope of your business. So thank you. Great question.
Great, Larry. Well, I think we have time. We'll take at least one more question here. One moment. Great. This one says, if I have 8 stores, does each store need a different AML program?
These questions are really pouring it on today. That's a very, very good question. And, I really hate to say this, guys, but, it really depends. If you have 8 stores and they're conducting all the same type of activity, from my experience as a consultant, we would accept one anti-money laundering program, and you can use that as in more ways as an umbrella to apply to all your stores, as long as all the activity is the same. However, if you have 8 stores and some stores are doing a different activity, in one store you're selling money orders in one, but you're not in another, you're doing money transmission in one, but you're another, then you can create an anti-money laundering program for that individual store. What you can also do is create an anti-money laundering program customized for all the 8 stores that will cover each store as long as the verbiage is right. And so it is important to have customized anti-money laundering programs and an anti-money laundering program that understands how your business works, or 1 or 100 stores, and they can definitely use that one AML program to cover all the stores. That's a great question, and one of those questions where you can answer it in so many different ways. There's more ways than one to approach that. You can make one for each one. You can one that covers everything. But as long as it's acceptable and all activity is covered, then you should be fine.
Great. So it sounds like it's scenario specific.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That's a great question. Thank you, whoever asked that.
So one more. Give us just a moment here. Another good one regarding AML programs. It states, how often do I have to update my AML program?
Okay. Well, keep these questions coming. I really like it when you guys ask questions and I know the answer. It makes me feel smart, so thank you very much for that. The question is, how often should I update my AML program? That really depends as well. If there's any changes in your activity or additional activity, it is suggested that you change that anti-money laundering program as soon as possible. Another reason why to change your anti-money laundering program is if some laws have changed or certain filing requirements have changed. From back in 2012, FinCEN required e-filing instead of manual filing. So we had a number of clients updating their anti-money laundering programs to that activity. So, and there is a change with the regulations or laws or any changes in how the business operates in terms of activity, it would be a good idea to change your anti-money laundering program. A good suggestion is to always take a look at your anti-money laundering program at least once a year to see if there are any changes in volumes or activities, or if there's any changes with the laws. And once you look into that, it would be a great idea. It doesn't hurt to change it and update it. And put that in your head. It's not about changing it; it's updating it. Because when you have an anti-money laundering program, updating it wouldn't be an issue. And that's a great question. Thank you so much.
Great. I'd also like to take this opportunity. If anyone has any other questions, I'm going to leave it silent here for about 30 seconds, and you guys feel free to type in any last questions you might have. We just received another question. It states, how often do I need to update my FinCEN registration? Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, that's a great question as well, because the thing is, a lot of people feel that the FinCEN registration, it's a crazy system, because no matter what, FinCEN registration will expire on December 31st, 2 years prior to what you filed, but it really depends. If you're a money service business, and let's say it is September 2015, and you're a brand new money service business, if today, September 2015, your registration is good to the end of the calendar year. So basically, if you register with FinCEN in September of 2015, it will expire December 31st of 2016. However, if you file the renewal on December 31st of 2015 and you're already an existing money service business, it will take 2 years. So if you file a renewal, like let's say, and if you're an existing business, September 2015, it will not expire till December 31st, 2017. And the good news is, if you go to the FinCEN website, www.fincen.gov, there's an expiration calculator on there. It will let you know when you register, or if it's an initial or a renewal, when your FinCEN will expire, or when will you need to re-register. So then again, that is a great question to who sent that. It does apply to everyone. And as I stated earlier in the presentation, make sure you do register with FinCEN. It is a free registration, and it is all done online for your convenience. Thank you.
Yeah, all great questions. I think it's a good time, to wrap it up here. A few items I wanted to cover. I wanted to mention here, make sure to check out our website, capitalcomplianceexperts.com. It looks like we're having technical difficulties. Yeah, that's fine. So make sure to visit our website, capitalcomplianceexperts.com. We're actually very soon going to be, adding on, upcoming news, additional resources, and there are a fine amount of resources already on there. And then we also have an upcoming webinar, the 22nd of this coming October. It's titled Banking for MSBs, so it's going to go a little bit more in depth on specific requirements, bridging the gap between the banking institution and the money service business, exactly what they look for, certain requirements, and what will cause an automatic decline. So in addition, everyone who has attended will be receiving a survey, a brief survey. It'll be titled, How Did We Do? This will actually be a good opportunity to, again, tell us if we did a terrible job or if we did a good job. Express if you learned something, and also give you an opportunity to suggest additional topics for future webinars. Again, these are going to be ongoing, and the webinar is actually being recorded and will be on our YouTube channel shortly. So if you need to reference this in the future, you'll have that option as well. So we wanted to thank you all for attending. And one additional item here is for your attendance, you actually qualify for a free 30-minute consultation. So if any of you guys have questions that you think of at the time, or anything comes up, you can call us and we'll schedule a time, if not right then and there, to discuss with you any items you'd like. And all you really have to do is mention your name and your email address for us to confirm, and then we can set up a time with a specialist and go over anything you desire. So please take note of our contact information there at the bottom left. And I'm going to leave this screen up here just for a moment or two. But once again, thank you very much, everyone, for attending. And remember that compliance, exactly. And one other thing, too, we will be attending FISCA, so we hope to see you all there. Our booth number, I believe, is big orange sign, so you'll definitely see us. So with that said, thank you very much for attending, and feel free to reach out to us, email us, give us a call. And remember, the 22nd will be our next webinar.